Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, August 11th, 2019. This is episode 1617. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Capterra. Find the right tools to make an informed software decision for your business. Visit Capterra's free website at capterra.com/techguy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. We got your smartphones, we got your smart watches, we got your augmented reality. I'm going to have to stop saying that since that seems to be kind of, maybe that was last year's flavor, augmented reality. I guess it's going to happen still, but we're not talking about it right now. That's all. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. If you have a question or comment, a suggestion, you see, I follow closely the trends. I follow closely what's going on in the world of computing, and I am cautious not to talk about anything that is not trendy. Not trendy. I also try to stay away from politics, so we'll do that too. This is going to be a relaxing place for everybody. How about that? 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still call. You just use a Skype or something like that. Skype out. And it shouldn't cost you anything since it's toll free. 888-827-5536. We do have a website that's, I think, very useful for you. If you go to techguylabs.com, it's free, first of all. There's no sign up or anything. You just wander in. And if you go in there, you'll find everything we talk about on the show and all the shows. This is episode 1617, so there's a ton of stuff there. Go to techguylabs.com. Audio and video of the shows after the fact, too. We do a podcast. Used to be, I've been a podcaster for 15 years. Used to be, even my mom, I'd say, it's a podcast, Mom. She says, well, what is that? But now Mom is all into the podcast, isn't she? Everybody is. Podcasts are hot and happening. Tomorrow I'm flying to Orlando, where it will be 100 degrees because it's humid, for the podcast movement, which is the pretty much one and only podcast convention in the United States. The biggest gathering of podcasters in the world, 1,500 of them. You understand there's 15,000, maybe 150,000 podcasters, maybe 1 million podcasters. No one really knows. But a few of them, a percent will be there. 1%, maybe 1/10 of 1% will be there. And I will be there. And it should be fun. It's always fun to go to these events, see old friends, and celebrate the renaissance of podcasting. They're hot now. I bet you, your station, your radio station, you can listen to a lot of podcasts. Of course, a lot of people find podcasts from celebrities. That's all the rage. I remember talking to Kevin Pollak when this first started. Actually, it was one of the first Stitcher Awards, I think, or maybe it was something like that. And maybe it was at the National Association of Broadcasters. He says, everybody has a podcast now. He says, that's the default. When they meet you, they say, can you be on my podcast? And it's hard to say no. But honestly, especially for a movie star, a TV star like Kevin Pollak, it's like, do I want to be on this guy's show? They have 15 listeners. Is that a good use of my time? But you don't want to be that guy, do you? Speaking of that guy, did you read the story of Bill Demirkopi, high school student, Bill Demirkopi, bored teenager. But instead of doing the Ferris Bueller thing and hacking into the school's network to change his grades, this 18-year-old is at DEF CON in Las Vegas. That's the big hacker convention going on in Las Vegas. Presenting his findings, he's 18, presenting his findings from 3 years of after-school hacking that began when he was a freshman. His school, like many schools, used software from a company called Blackboard. Does that ring a bell? Yeah, it's a very popular kind of educational software used by schools to keep track of grades and other things, communicate with students, make assignments. And then another one, Follett, created by the big book publisher Follett, that his school used. In both cases, he found bugs that would allow hackers to get into the student data. In fact, in the case of Blackboard, he found 5 million vulnerable records for students and teachers all over the world, including grades, immunization records, the cafeteria balance, their schedules, cryptographically hashed passwords, so that's good. That usually means you can't get into them, and photos. He says, I, as a 16-year-old freshman, bored, could get in out of curiosity. Well, I imagine so could others with less benign intent. The state of cybersecurity and education, says Dd-Wrt, is really bad, and not enough people are paying attention to it. 5,000 schools, 5 million records. In the Follett software, he found bugs that would give a hacker access to student data like grade point average, special education status, number of suspensions, passwords, unencrypted, fully readable. He realized, however, it wasn't until he was a junior he realized that he, in fact, was himself breaking the law and vulnerable to the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, which prevents gaining unauthorized access to a company's network. So he verified that these bugs existed, but then went no further, which was the right thing to do. The right thing to do. Blackboard and Follett, when connected by Wired magazine, said, well, thank you for finding those, and we'll fix those up. And Blackboard said, we commend Bill for bringing these vulnerabilities to our attention and for striving to be part of a solution to improve our product security and protect our clients' personal information. We have addressed several issues that were brought to our attention. He never changed students' grades, which, some might say, well, he's a white knight. He did, however, exploit, in a separate incident, this kid's going to get a job quick, exploit flaws in college admission software to change his status to accepted at Worcester Polytechnic. A spokesperson for the college said, well, that wouldn't have been enough to let him in. But, it's fun. It's fun to do that. It's a fun thing to do. So he got suspended. Of course he got suspended. Well, the thing that got him suspended was he sent a message through the Follett Aspen app saying, hello from Bill Dd-Wrt, smiley face to thousands of parents, teachers, and students. That got him suspended. He says it was really immature of me to do that. But I didn't know any other way to get in touch with a company that wasn't open to contact. So you're going to hear a lot of stories like this because the big hacker convention is just wrapping up in Las Vegas. There's two of them, one after the other. There's Black Hat, which is a little more corporate. FBI goes there to find tame hackers, CIA, NSA, and so do big companies. And then there's DEF CON, which is really more of a free-for-all. A lot of hackers go there to give talks about things they found. They save them all year. And there's lots of shenanigans and fun. In fact, if you're going to Vegas, I should have warned you last week. I'm sorry. It would probably be prudent, not to bring your Wi-Fi stuff. And be really careful about Wi-Fi access points you join, because that's one of the fun things the hackers do at DEF CON is they set up Wi-Fi access points with names like Verizon, Linksys, hotel names, the Sands. And they can find all sorts of fun things. They even put up on the wall, I don't know if they did this year, they've always done in years past, something they call the Wall of Sheep. People whose systems have been hacked, and they put up their name and their passwords right up on the wall there for everybody to see. Yeah, one of the, Mike B in the chat room reminded me, one of the Wi-Fi access points that's very popular is lyrics from the Rick Astley song, Never Gonna Give You Up. They Rickroll people. They Rickroll people. We have, we've always had the FBI surveillance van as one of our Wi-Fi access points. always fun when people first see that. 8888 asks Leo, what do you use? Actually, I'm curious. What do you use to name your access points? The conventional wisdom is you shouldn't put your address on it or probably your family name. You don't want to identify the location of the access point. And you probably shouldn't put the name of the manufacturer either, because that kind of says, well, if there's a problem with that particular router, then, that says, hey, it's over here. I used to use rock stars, dead rock stars, Morrison, Hendrix, Winehouse. Now what I do is I do use manufacturer's name, but I use the wrong name. I name my Eero Plume, and I name my Plume Orbi. And that way, I don't know why. The thing is, you want to choose carefully, because if you get a new one, you want to use the same name, so everything doesn't have to change its password and sign in, right? Robert Bigelow in the chat room says his 2.4G is pretty fly for a Wi-Fi, and his 5G is hi-fi for the Wi-Fi. That's good. I like it. 8888 asks Leo. We could talk about that or anything on your mind. It's time to talk high tech. Yes, it's a haven for geeks. We're out in the world, but we're still lonely. And so give me a ring and let's talk high tech. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More after this. She is the unbreakable Kimmy Schaffer, our phone angel. Kimmy, don't take no Schaffer. Hello, unbreakable phone angel. How are you today? I'm going to be going, as I mentioned, to Orlando tomorrow. I was just checking Dark Sky.
I'm sorry.
Well, you know what we're going to do, though.
Stay in the air conditioning. Don't walk outside.
No, in fact, this is terrible. But the hotel we're staying at is 2 miles from the venue for the convention.
You're going to walk?
The podcast convention.
You're going to play Harry Potter on the way?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
No. I've been to Orlando once, and I couldn't get out of there fast enough.
We did, though.
And it was in the middle of August also, so it was like the worst time to be there.
It's going to be fun. I'm going with not only my wife, but my son, Henry, who's one of our salespeople, so he can meet people. In Orlando right now, it's 93 degrees.
With 110% humidity.
Humid and overcast. The feels like temperature. You ready for this? 105.
Yeah, no. I can deal with 105 dry heat. It's the humidity that kills me.
You know what we're going to do, though? We kept Tuesday open.
Okay.
And we're going to go to Epcot, I think. Is that crazy, though? It'll be 105 degrees.
It's been 105 here, but again, like I said, it's fine here.
It's different.
It's very, very different. And the people are grumpy there, too, because they're so hot.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah,
it's funny because this event, this is the podcast movement.
How many podcasters will be there?
I don't know. They say 1,500. The podcasters, it's not small. A big industry, right? I mean, there's not a lot of money in it. So last year it was Philadelphia in August.
And that's also the same, right?
They don't, I think because they get better deals at the hotels, I guess. I don't know.
You're not going to, put it in L.A.
Yeah, it's gonna be hot.
Or even on the coast, like Miami. Somewhere that would be really nice. Oh, Orlando. I feel sorry for everybody that lives in Orlando.
I guess they're used to it.
You get used to it.
Yeah.
You adapt.
Yeah. In fact, I just read a story that says your capacity of your sweat glands is developed in the first 2 years of life. So if you grow up somewhere hot, your sweat glands will be prepared for it. But if you move there, then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
I grew up in New York for the first 2 years of my life, New York City, which was pretty hot and humid in the summer. So maybe
you'll do okay.
Maybe my sweat glands are sufficiently
Lisa will not be happy.
developed. Lisa, who grew up here in beautiful downtown Petaluma.
She's like me. We're spoiled.
She says, what's hot?
What's humidity?
Who should I talk to first?
How about Ross in Manhattan Beach? Might have a compromised computer because he was duped by one of those.
Never compromise.
Quicken support that might not have been Quicken support.
Uh-oh. Leo to the rescue. Hi, Ross.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm okay, but it doesn't sound like it sounds like you're in trouble. What makes you think you were compromised?
Well, I had an error message trying to upload a payment on Quicken that I couldn't get by. So I called what I thought was Quicken support.
Where'd you get the number?
And I got it off, I think I looked it up off the internet, went Quicken support and picked the number there.
So you may or may not. I mean, honestly, there's a big difference between you calling them and them calling you. If you get a call out of the blue, that's going to be clearly bogus.
Yeah.
But don't Google phone numbers unless you see it's at Quicken.com or Intuit.com or whatever. Actually, Quicken.
Yeah, I usually do. But here's what makes me think that this was not real.
Uh-oh.
He basically wasn't giving me support. He was trying to sell me an internet security application, program, or equipment or something for about $1,000.
Oh, ow!
And so I asked him. I said, basically, show me on the Quicken website where you are, right, and where I can look at this. And he wouldn't do it. All he would do is give me the number.
Oh, that's so savvy. Okay, you got an offer, but let me see this on. I'm interested. Show me Quicken.com/what? And he said, no. I cannot do that.
Well, I looked up. What I did was I looked up the error number, and I'm trying to find the error number here. 301.
Well, don't worry. I don't need the error number. That's not usually not.
So
anyway,
but I looked up the error number, hoping to find some explanation. And there was a support
next to that
number there.
So if I'm a bad guy, I might be buying ads for search terms like Quicken error 301. So you're right. It might not be the Quicken you were calling Quicken. By the way, they're not owned by Intuit anymore. That was my mistake. They were sold in 2005. So it's Quicken.com.
Oh, okay.
So,
but he did have access to my computer. He asked for access to my computer early on and said, your computer's been compromised.
Oh, did you do that?
Et cetera. Yeah.
You gave him access. Okay.
I did early on.
Did you give him a credit card number? Did you give him any money?
Did not give him anything.
Okay, so as long as he doesn't have a credit card, you don't have to worry about that. But it would be prudent to make sure that you haven't got some bug on your system.
Yeah. Well, if he's had access, is there anything that he could have looked at? You're right. See, that's my concern. I don't know what's been compromised.
Security is over the minute somebody has access, whether it's physical access or remote access. Access is access. Normally I'd say, and it wouldn't be a bad thing, go to malwarebytes.com and download that and do a scan.
Got that, done that.
And it didn't did it find anything?
No, and I have.
Well, that's a really good sign. Malwarebytes is good enough that if you had something really, the problem is he might have put something so new that Malwarebytes and their antivirus don't know about it. It might be hidden as a rootkit, and so it might be indetectable, and that's where it gets scary. I got to take a break. Hang on. I'll talk to you off the air, see what we can do to fix this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, so that's a good start. Did you let him do everything he wanted to do, or did you at some point get cold feet and say, and hang up?
Well, he was looking at stuff and basically trying to prove to me that the computer was...
Yeah, that's what they do. They get you to open the event manager, which is a log, and they say, you see all these red X's.
Yes.
You see these exclamation marks.
He had access for much too long, much more than I was comfortable with. And by the time and here again, I asked him, I said, are you Quicken support? He says, yes, I work for Quicken.
A bad guy's not going to tell you the truth.
No.
Oh, dear.
So would I be safe to reformat my hard drive, change all of my passwords?
Well, how do you store your passwords?
LastPass.
Okay. So he's not going to be able to do anything, even if he found the LastPass vault and downloaded it. He's not going to do anything unless your master password's monkey123 or something easily guessed. But
and I already changed the password to LastPass.
Okay. Was the old password kind of guessable?
No.
Okay,
not
good.
At all.
Okay. So even if he got the vault, that's nothing you can do with that. That's encrypted and can only be unencrypted with your password, and presumably two-factor if you've turned that on. And that really makes it difficult for him to do anything with. So much so that I think most bad guys would not. That's not where they would go first. First thing I would do if I got on your system, and it's hard to do this without you noticing, is I would look in the browser to see if you store any passwords in the browser, because the browser's passwords are not encrypted well.
Yeah, I do have some of them just for convenience purposes.
So and that's why we always say use LastPass, not the browser. But in order to get that, they'd have to have physical access, which they did. The other thing they might be looking for, or have done is, so that's the concern is maybe they found something. It sounds like you're pretty well covered. The other thing they would do is install something.
Yeah.
And that's why we run Malwarebytes, just to check.
Right.
Microsoft has a malicious software removal tool. It's not as complete, but it's just another opinion. There are online viruses. There is Microsoft's Defender, which is on your machine if it's a Windows 10 machine. I would run all of those with their thorough scans just to make sure. But if everything comes up empty, then he didn't get around to it, or that wasn't his MO. He may have simply just been trying to get some money out of you.
Okay. So there's the chances are he didn't, if he didn't plant anything, that he didn't pick up, except for stuff that
you were watching him work. You saw everything he did.
I was watching him work, although he was working on the Microsoft Defender thing, and it didn't finish, and he cut that off. So I'm concerned about what he may have been doing in the background while he was doing that, and that may have been something that was just a distraction.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, it doesn't sound like you had a real malicious guy on there. He was just trying to get a little extra money out of you. Did he? And because first of all, he wanted to sell you that security solution for $1,000.
Yes.
I think he was more interested in that kind of thing.
Okay.
You're right, though. I mean, he could have. What you just don't know is if he did or didn't, and the only way to be sure is to wipe the drive, and that's a lot to do unless you really have a good reason to be concerned.
Well, I do have ESET, and
you're good.
I backed it up on a hard drive next to my computer.
I think you're probably all right. I mean, it's up to you and your level of comfort.
Okay.
It doesn't sound like if Malwarebytes didn't see anything, you're probably fine.
Okay. All right.
Hey, I'm glad you called, though, and it's good you had that instinct. That saved you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. Spent a little more time talking to our friend who had... I'm so glad people call to talk about this because it just raises your awareness, my awareness, everybody's awareness. Of course, if you get a pop-up on the screen that says, this is Microsoft, call us because there's a problem, that's not real. Of course, if somebody calls your phone and says, this is Microsoft, when they call me, they say, this is Windows. Like, that's a company. This is Windows. And they say, I see we having problems with your computer. Of course, that's probably bogus. Any incoming request is bogus. Outbound is okay as long as you're sure the numbers you're calling is the company that you intend to call, the company that made the software. So when you do that search, when you get an error message and you do a Google search for the error message and something pops up, make sure that it's coming from, in this case, Quicken.com. It's not coming from anything else, any third-party site. In fact, the best thing to do would be go to Quicken.com and go to their support page and get the contact number there. Then you're all right. Then you're calling a legitimate support number. It is completely possible that a company, not even a completely illegitimate company, but a company that's trying to sell security services might buy a Google ad. The way you buy Google ads, the ones that show up in the search results off to the side there, is you bid on a keyword. So if I'm a guy, I'm selling overpriced security software, I might buy the keyword Quicken Support or Quicken Error Message. You can buy that. You don't have to be Intuit or Quicken or anybody to buy that. You can just buy it from Google. And that way you're going to get an ad. Anytime somebody searches for, as our caller did, Quicken Error 301, your ad's going to pop up on the right. And the reason that's very effective, both for legitimate and illegitimate advertisers, is you're already in that mindset, right? You're kind of searching for help. And you see that ad and you go, oh, help is here. It's on the way. So that number you found with the Google search is not a good number. Go to the company's page, get the support number. Now, he called it, and the guy did, in fact, try to sell him a $1,000 security system. He was savvy enough not to buy it, not to give him a credit card number. Whew, bullet one dodged, but there's still other issues. In fact, he did the next thing the bad guy did on the phone was say, well, let me take control of your computer. Maybe I can help you. And the thing is, I completely understand. You're stymied. You can't use your software. It's nothing's working. And, you know, I remember when my first daughter, my first child was born, and my wife was in labor, and she was in pain, and it was terrible. We drove to the hospital, you know, freaking out. First time child. Nurse shows up at the door, says, come on in, we're going to take care of you. I started crying. Thank you. Thank you. You're helping me. And I can understand. You might do the same thing. Oh, my God, thank you, Quicken. You're on the line. And you might do things you wouldn't do otherwise. That's what bad guys count on. They want to get you in an emotionally vulnerable state, either by scaring you, mostly by scaring you. That's why the first thing the guy does, and this is the sure sign the guy is a con artist, he says, okay, give me access to your computer. Well, that's problem number one. Although legitimate tech support people will do that, so it's not guaranteed that that's a problem. Legitimate support will do that. Problem number two, though, was he then pulls up the event log and says, oh, you see all these errors? That's a bad sign. First of all, it's not a bad sign. It's normal. And the fact that he did that means he's a scammer. He's trying to scare you into doing something dumb. The more scared you are, the more emotional he can prey on your emotions, the more likely you will do something without thinking, and that's what they want you to do. The whole key is to get you to do something without thinking. So that's a bad start. And when somebody's in your computer, they can do stuff. You know, you're watching the screen, you're going to see everything they're typing pretty much. It's going to be hard for them to do stuff behind your back, but if you're not savvy enough to know that quick command he entered at the Windows search prompt is dangerous, maybe not. You would probably know if he was installing software or something like that. It'd be hard for him to get that by you if you're watching closely and you know what you're looking at. So I think in this case, a bullet was dodged. Malwarebytes, which I wouldn't recommend buying it. I don't really recommend running any antivirus software. When Windows 10 has its own from Microsoft, it's quite capable, called Defender. So if you've got Defender, you don't need Malwarebytes, you don't need ESET, you don't need Trend, you don't need anything else. You definitely don't need the McAfee or Symantec solution that shows up on your drive because they paid. I just got a Lenovo desktop. McAfee's on it. Tried to uninstall it. Can't. Stops halfway through. Chokes. And I fortunately know what to do. I went to McAfee's site, got the uninstaller, the hardcore uninstaller, ran it and got rid of it. Oh, don't delete this. Your subscription's on here. You got a free trial, please. What do you do? Don't delete it. I don't want you. I got Defender. I don't need a third-party antivirus, and I certainly don't need to pay for a third-party antivirus. I've got Defender. Plus, as I've said many times, antiviruses also can open doors to bad guys. Anything you're running can open doors to bad guys, but antivirus software runs at a very low level. It has to hook into the operating system, and if there's any flaws, and this has happened to McAfee, as a matter of fact, Symantec, and others, if there's a flaw in this software, it's a conduit for a bad guy. Go right into the kernel and say, hey, look at this. So don't put it on there. Don't do it. You're wasting your money, and you're making your computer less secure, not more secure, plus less reliable. So, but if you run Security Essentials on Windows 7 or 8, if you run Defender, which comes with Windows 10, it's protecting you as best any antivirus can. No antivirus is perfect, far from it. In many cases, they only catch about half the viruses that come over the transom because a lot of the most dangerous viruses are brand new. But they may catch the old ones, right? The ransomware that's been floating around for a year, they'll catch that. So, in that respect, it's good to have it. Malwarebytes, again, you don't need to buy it or install it, but it's worth doing the scan just to see if it sees anything. Sometimes antiviruses, and there are lots of online, ESET has an online antivirus, Trend Micro has an online antivirus you can run. And those antiviruses sometimes will be a little proactive. They'll find things that aren't really security flaws like cookies and say, well, I just found 1,000 cookies on here. You really need to buy this antivirus. No, you don't. But if they do find a virus or malware or adware, especially after you let somebody access your computer. Well, that's some cause for concern. Now, here's the thing. You can run those programs to remove them, and all of them will say, oh, yeah, I got it. I can take care of this. But maybe that's the one they spotted, but maybe there's 2 others they didn't see. And now you blithely go along, I'm fine. I got rid of it. Thank you, Malwarebytes. I got rid of it. I'm going to continue to use it. And there's stuff that you don't know about. That's a problem. So it's a good idea to get multiple opinions. That'll broaden the scope of the things they'll detect. Malwarebytes, run the Windows Defender. Microsoft updates every Patch Tuesday, something they call the malicious software removal tool. If you hit the Windows key and type MRT and hit return, it'll pop up. You'll say, where'd that come from? I never saw an icon for it. No, they don't put an icon on there. But do a thorough scan. All of these things will give you some assurance there's nothing on there. But nothing can guarantee it, and this is the real problem. My recommendation in past years has been, if somebody gets access to your computer that you don't know and you don't trust, you got to wipe the hard drive, erase it, and reinstall Windows, and then restore your data, because it's the only way to be sure. So I'm going to leave this to you, because honestly, that's what I would do. But it's a pain. I understand that. And if you've got you've scanned it with a couple of different tools, none of them find anything. The guy didn't seem malicious, just anxious to sell you something. You might take your chances. That's up to you. I can't tell you what to do. I would wipe it and reinstall. 8888 Ask Leo. We're getting some fun Wi-Fi access point names. I'm going to talk about those a little bit later on, too. Some really good ones. 8888 Ask Leo. More of your calls coming up right after this. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Our car guy, Sam Abuelsamid, who usually joins us this hour, is not going to be here now. He's coming in, though, in a couple of hours in studio, driving something. He always is driving something interesting. So we'll talk about cars in a couple of hours. Our automotive expert. Meanwhile, Ed is on the line from Claremore, Oklahoma. Hello, Ed.
Hey, Uncle Leo. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you, nephew Ed?
Oh, all right. Probably could be the other way around. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I just stepped. You're speaking of the humidity. I just stepped outside into it just to see how bad it is, and it is. It's hot and humid here.
Hot and humid.
Enjoy your trip to Orlando.
I know, Orlando. In a way, I like. If I'm on vacation, I like it because I wear a bathing suit and sit by the pool. Yeah. But if you have to work in it, that's tough.
Oh yeah, just walk around and you're
dripping. Yeah.
So, well, thanks a bunch for taking this call. I had a question about. It involves probably a tutorial on Wi-Fi security, particularly if you're in a public Wi-Fi setting. And the first thought of mine was about Touch ID or Facial ID, how that impacts when you log on to websites
that's a
or
great
apps.
Question. Yeah.
Websites or apps, and even going so far as the question of on my mind beyond that is, do you have to? Are you only worried when you accidentally access a nefarious site?
No. So here's the deal. Here's the deal on Wi-Fi. When you're on open Wi-Fi, and you log into a website, unless the website is extremely poorly designed, and I don't know if there are very many of those, you're not sending the password in the clear. You're sending it encrypted, so the bad guy can't see it. He can see what site you're on. That name floats through the airwaves, but he cannot see the password. And in most cases now, and this is a campaign Google started a couple of years ago to get HTTPS on every site. And you'll notice our Tech Guy site is now HTTPS, and our the Twit podcast site is HTTPS. Not because you need to log in, you don't, but just because it's good practice, and computers are fast enough now to encrypt all traffic. So when you're on those sites, a bad guy can't see what you're doing. It used to be, we really did worry with email especially, that there were email providers that did not encrypt the password as you sent it to them, which meant the bad guy could get your email password. You'd never even know. He could go home and he could be getting your email for years until you change that password. And of course, as you know, if your email is compromised, that's where all the password resets get sent. That's about as bad as it gets. But that's not, if you're using Gmail or almost any your internet service provider's email, almost any email, that's encrypted now. So that's nothing to worry about.
I had forgotten about the HTTPS thing because I used to always watch for it, but now they're using logos instead of the.
Yeah, it's hard to tell now, but there may be. Depends on the browser you're using, but every browser will somehow indicate you're in a secure login. It's a little tricky sometimes with passwords because a page you're on could be partially encrypted. The password form can be encrypted, and the sending can be encrypted, but you wouldn't. But this page itself is not HTTPS. That used to happen a lot more than it does these days, but it still can happen. In which case, you may look at it and say, "Well, this isn't encrypted." But when you go to Facebook, every step of the way is encrypted. So for the most part, that's not the threat. And the fingerprint or the Face ID doesn't really change that because you're using that to log in. Now, my bank, and I think a lot of financial institutions will let me log into their site using biometrics, fingerprint or Face ID. That's an interesting question. Is that more secure? I think it probably is.
Well, what I was wondering was the difference between using an app versus a website login. Whereas with the app, you may use your fingerprint, and it gets you logged into the app, but it doesn't go out to who the app is communicating with.
But so let's say I go to my bank, I go to USAA, they let me log in with a fingerprint, which I do. Now the app is open, and I'm transacting with USAA. They darn well better be encrypting all that traffic, right? And I think anybody who's writing an app that supports Touch ID or Face ID is almost certainly going to also encrypt internet traffic. But as we're learning, as more and more breaches, I was just talking about this kid in high school who found out that Blackboard wasn't doing a good job protecting this data. That's part of the risk is not in the coffee shop, but at the site, where you're using Equifax. And they leak out 140 million records to bad guys. There's nothing you can do about that at all. Bad guys didn't even have to hack you. They just hacked Equifax. And I've actually stopped reporting breaches because they happen so often now. They happen several times a week. There are new big data breaches all the time. So that's really a big cause for concern, and there's not much you can do about that, frankly.
Well, is it belt and suspenders then to use a VPN?
Absolutely, because then everything you do is encrypted. I think that if you pay attention and you say, well, the only thing I do is check my email and browse some websites, you probably don't need a VPN. But there is an attack, and this is a hard attack, but there is an additional attack that a VPN does protect against that has nothing to do with that. When you're on a Wi-Fi network, everybody on that network's on the same network as you, right? And if a bad guy is sufficiently motivated, they can do things to you. For instance, one attack is to use a thing called a Wi-Fi pineapple. There was a guy at DEF CON this year who had a backpack, a 60-pound backpack that had dozens of these on the back and was sniffing everybody's Wi-Fi traffic. The Wi-Fi pineapple, which is widely known by bad guys, is cheap. It's easy to buy. You can use that, for instance, to you're sitting there, Ed's in the coffee shop, he's typing away. I set up the Wi-Fi pineapple. I see Ed on the same network as me. In some cases, and this depends on how secure your system is, I can see other access points Ed accesses on a regular basis. I can even see some names, perhaps the name of your home access point. And then as a bad guy, I can impersonate it. Your laptop, as you know, when it sees your home access point, it joins it. It says, "Oh, we're home. Honey, we're home." And if his signal is stronger than the coffee shop's and it has the home access point name, your laptop may well switch to it. And you don't even know it. Now all your traffic's going through him. Doesn't mean he has more access, but it gives, now he's in your computer, he's sharing resources in your computer, and he can do perhaps other things. So a VPN does protect against that because the bad guy doesn't even see that you're on the network. He just sees a lot of gobbledygook flying through the air. So you're right to ask this question because it's very complicated. And in most cases, people like me will just say, "Oh, just use a VPN," because it's easier to give a simple answer like that than to talk about what the real threats are. It's a shame we all have to become security experts to understand what the threats are and what to do about it.
Well, now that I'm talking to you, I'm more scared than ever.
I know. I didn't help, did I? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. If you want to know what I do, if I remember it, I'll turn on the VPN. But I often don't. And sometimes you're at an airport or you're in a hotel, and it's just easy, it's faster and easier to just get on and just say,
right.
I'm just going to use it.
VPN, I seem to think sometimes slows it down, so I'll leave it off.
It does slow it down.
Remember to turn it on.
That's right. And then you forget.
Like that, but I don't always.
I think the good news is with HTTPS everywhere, we are much safer than we used to be.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. So, and I don't hear of a lot of attacks anymore. Coffee shop attacks. For instance, one big one that was patched up by HTTPS on Facebook was you could watch somebody on Facebook, and Facebook will send a token from Ed's computer to Facebook saying, yeah, it's Ed. You could steal that and then be Ed. You could get on his Facebook page. That's not good. But that's been fixed. That was years ago. It was a technique called fire sheep. That's gone because of HTTPS. I think we're all much safer. Thanks for the call, Ed. Good question. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Let's talk. High tech, computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches. I'd love to talk to you if you've got a question, a comment, a suggestion, if you want to understand what's going on. And really, it is a conversation. It's not, the best. This is at its best when it's talking about things like our last call. We're talking about the issues, the pros and cons, the ups and downs together. We're solving our problems together. 8888 Ask Leo, the number. Everything we talk about ends up on the website, techguylabs.com, techguylabs.com. And that's free. There's no sign up. There's audio and video from the show there as well. So, good place to bookmark, to keep in mind. Cocoa Beach, Florida. James is on the line. Hi, James.
Hi, Leo. I listen to you every weekend. I'm walking in about ankle-deep water here along the Atlantic Ocean.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
It's about 82 degrees, this water.
See, it's nice. It's nice when you're right by the ocean, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. There's always a good breeze coming off the water.
Yeah.
But I heard you say you're going to Orlando, and if you've not been to the Kennedy Space Center Visitors Center in some years, a company took it over about 10 years ago, and it's fantastic. They've got an IMAX theater where you watch a launch, and they've got some subwoofers in there that make sure you feel every bit.
Oh, that's the next best thing to be in there. I want to do that. That's a great tip. Thank you.
Yeah, it's only about an hour drive from you, and then get your shoes off and walk in the water here a little bit before you go back to California.
That sounds like a much better plan. I love it. Thank you for the
Hope
tip.
you enjoy yourself.
Thank you. I appreciate it, James.
Bye-bye.
All right, take care. That's nice. Nice idea. Let's go to Teresa, Westminster, Colorado. Hello, Teresa.
Hello, Leo. I'm listen to you when I can, and I am unfortunately not one of your high-tech geeks, but I try to learn and stumble through some things. And my question is I've been hearing that you've been talking about this frequently, about the 5G.
Yes.
And my big issue is we just discovered that we are going to be having a 5G tower put right literally in our neighbor's backyard. And, of course, we're all up in arms about that because you hear all about the negative things.
No negative. No problem. So let me talk a little bit about this.
Radiation?
No radiation. That's not the case. So here's the thing. One of the problems with 5G is this. You need about 4 times more towers than you do with current cell technology because it doesn't travel very well. It doesn't go very far. So we need many, many more towers. And one of the things that's very much going to slow down 5G is nobody wants a tower or a cell site in their backyard. First of all, it's small. It's very small. Second of all, unless your head is pressed against it, you're not getting any appreciable radiation. The thing that's most important to understand about radiation is the power of the energy of the radiation decreases by, and this is a little math, so I apologize, the inverse of the square of the distance. In other words, when you get 1 foot away from the tower, it's cut in half. When you get 2 feet away from the tower, it's 1/4. When you get 3 feet away, it's 1/9. By the time you're 10 feet away, it's 1/100th. You're probably, I would guess, at least 100 feet away. You will not, only a sensitive cell phone would be able to even notice the towers anywhere near you. And even then, the other part of the equation is the kind of radiation, the micromillimeter wave radiation that they're using for 5G has so little energy that there's never been demonstrated any biological impact from it at all. Zero, even if you were in the middle of it. And I don't know if you've ever, do you fly when you go to the airport and you do the TSA screening and you get in that machine and they go whoop, whoop. That's the same radiation. It's micromillimeter wave radiation, and it's a lot stronger and a lot closer to you, and it's still harmless. So don't fear the tower. Don't fear the tower. There's nothing bad with it.
Well, and that's like what I'm saying. Of course, you look on certain websites, and of course, the
people
world
on the web can say anything they want. Have you noticed that? You can say anything, and you can even cite studies, but it doesn't make it true. So
well,
I guess
what you were saying is very true. What we heard is that just in our small area locally right here, they said anywhere from 20 to 30 towers. And then within our city limits,
that's right,
they said up to 1,200 towers. So it sounds like you're going to have them about every other block.
How long have cell phones been around? 20 years, 30 something? We've had smartphones for 12 years, since 2007. The first cell phones were widely carried around 2000. One would expect from these cell phones pressed to many, many heads, and many people are concerned that there'd be some incidence of cancer. Actually, brain cancer has dropped. The rates of brain cancer have dropped since 2000, not gone up. So the real evidence is it's harmless. And that's from cell phones, which is a different kind of radiation, a much more dangerous kind of radiation than the micromillimeter wave. The other thing to remember is that in order for there to be biological consequences, there has to be enough energy reaching your body to damage cells, things like that. And that's not the case. Even if you're standing next to it, it's not the case. There's not enough energy. And as you get farther and farther away, it's less and less of a hazard. So I know I can't, I'm trying to reassure you. I know your neighbors are up in arms. I know there's websites that say, oh my God, it's the end of the world. But there is no credible scientific evidence. People can say anything they want and often do. But there's no scientific evidence. And by the way, you're getting hit by cosmic rays all the time. You're getting hit by RF from my radio station all the time. There's stuff passing through you constantly.
So I guess, and the other thing we're thinking about too is, so there's this tower put up here, but
it might be ugly. I can't say it's not ugly.
Yeah, so we're not fond of it. We've seen other ones put up.
Yeah, they try to put them in fake trees and stuff. They do all sorts of things to trick you, but there's so many more of them for 5G.
So you don't think that would not only not cause health harm, but it shouldn't decrease home value?
Well, that depends on what people believe, doesn't it? Because if people believe your home is haunted, that's going to decrease the value. But it doesn't mean there's actual ghosts. And it may be that it will increase the home value because you are going to have great 5G signal. Your phone, you're going to get a 5G phone in a year that's going to be so fast, you'll probably abandon your wireline internet and say, I'm going to use this for my home internet. I understand your concern. I really do, and I'm sad that there's so much misinformation on the internet. But honestly, and I've looked into this time and time again because this isn't the first time people have said this. It started with power lines. It went to cell phones and cell phone towers, but cell phones particularly, which are a lot closer to you, Carrie. And every time I look at this, the actual evidence, the real evidence, doesn't exist. And part of this is unfortunate that we don't really understand, and scientists don't do a good job. In the mainstream media, there's a terrible job of explaining these studies. And so by the time it gets into the mainstream media, it's really misinterpreted. They're not, and I'm not a shill for the industry, believe me. If I could find any evidence that these were dangerous, I'd be the first to tell you. I have no reason to lie about this. I don't make money from the cell phone industry. I don't need to promote 5G. In fact, the conversation, you probably heard it, we've been having with the chat room is don't buy a 5G phone. You'd be nuts. Because there's not going to be 5G near you for a while. And even if there is, there's all sorts of problems with these first phones, and battery life will be terrible. And this is a technology that's been overhyped by the cell business because they need something to get you to get a new phone. Now's not the time to buy a 5G phone. But I could promise you, with a tower next door, Teresa, you're going to be very happy. You're going to be, and again, you don't have to believe me. You don't have to trust me. There's all sorts of resources out there. Do your own research, and be skeptical. Be skeptical of. It's hard, I tell you, for non-scientific people to understand and read scientific studies. They can be very misleading. Be skeptical. Read the studies. It is my opinion, based on extensive research and conversations with scientists and biologists, that it is harmless. Remember when they put those millimeter wave scanners in the airports? How, and a lot of people say, "Oh no, I'm gonna frisk me, baby." I wouldn't worry about it too much. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Great question. Really a good question. I understand your concern. But don't worry. It's okay. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I love this pocket operator, although it's disappeared. I think somebody else loves it too. It's a calculator-sized synthesizer from a synthesizer company, a very good synthesizer company called Teenage Engineering. They're out of Sweden. And it's hanging around my neck. I got a little lanyard on it. And you can record samples. Just got a little microphone on it. Play them back with a little calculator buttons. So much fun. But where'd it go? Micah, did you steal my pocket operator? 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Back to the phones we go. David, Palm Beach. Hello, David.
Afternoon, N2HYC here.
W6TWT. A good day to you.
Good to see you, OM. Listen, I put my big boy pants on and I cut the cord.
Oh, man, it's good you were wearing pants because that can snap back and hit you.
I know. But
I love cord cutting. I love it.
I was looking for something that could keep track of my broadband usage.
Yes.
And I came across something called Dd-Wrt.
Yes.
Okay. Is that any good?
It's software for your router, but not all routers support it. So a router is really the only reliable way to check your bandwidth, right? Because the router is the one thing that's everything goes through. So you can run a meter on any given computer. In fact, Windows 10 comes with a bandwidth meter, but that's only for that device. You need to put it at the router level. The other side of that is many internet service providers, because of bandwidth caps, have meters. In my experience, has been they're wildly inaccurate. On the other hand, that's what really matters is what they think, not what you say. So you probably should check with your ISP and see if there's a way for you to meter your bandwidth on their end, since they're the ones who are going to say you've reached the cap. But Dd-Wrt is a really good way to do it. If your router doesn't do it now, and many routers do, I should point out, the first thing to do is look at your router and see if it will give you that information in a log, on a page. Some routers are very simple because they say, well, consumers don't want to have all these features. They just want to make it easy. And then the routers designed for geeks have page after page after page of settings that no one understands what they mean or anything, but if you're a geek, they're in there. So look and see what your router will do. Some routers, you can change the firmware, and there's third-party firmware for routers. Dd-Wrt is the best known. It's an open-source project. And if you go to the Dd-Wrt or the OpenWRT website, you'll see the database of routers it supports.
It's huge.
Yeah, isn't that cool? So dd-wrt.com, and you're a ham, you're an amateur radio guy, so you're obviously technically sophisticated. So this is something I'd be careful because you're flashing, you're changing, you're writing new firmware onto that router. And if anything goes wrong, you could brick it. But most of the time, it's pretty straightforward. But do read, and by the way, it may void warranty, etc. If you're going to buy a new router, I would look at the ASUS high-end routers because those are based on Dd-Wrt. You call it ASUS WRT. You can, and almost all of them, put DD on there if you wish, but you don't have to. And ASUS, generally has all of the features in there that Dd-Wrt has, including bandwidth monitoring.
Well, I'll keep that in mind. By the way, Kim was correct about the temperatures in Florida because when we're right on the coast, we get that onshore breeze.
I love that.
Orlando's in the middle of the state, not it's such a wide state, but it can easily feel 10 or more degrees difference up there.
It's the Slough of Despond right in the middle there, yeah. Oy, oy, oy. Of course, podcasters are cheap, so that's where the podcast convention is going to be. Oh, no, couldn't do it in winter. No, got to do it in the high summer. That's all right, I'll be fine.
The good news is the schools are opening up tomorrow, so...
So Epcot won't be too jammed.
Yeah, I was just going to say that it would be less congested.
Mm-hmm. That's good news, because the last time I was at Disney World, it was high season. They actually had to close the gates about 1 p.m. because it was over full. And I could barely move. It was so jammed.
You pay an arm and a leg. They want your firstborn male child.
I know, it's so expensive. I know.
But then you get in there and you end up waiting in line for an hour and a half or 2 hours. And you start thinking to yourself, I paid $150
to wait in line.
Right?
I'll be lucky if I get 2 rides in. Yep. But they have some good restaurants, I'm told, in Epcot, so maybe I'll do that instead.
Yeah. Well, it's worth exploring.
Yeah. I haven't been to Epcot in decades. We went out there. I took a group out there from the radio station. I think it was the Disney 50th or Mickey's 60th or something like that. Yeah, it must have been Mickey's 60th birthday. We had a big group, and it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it.
And remember, it rains every afternoon, sometime between 2 and 4.
And you're so grateful, right? Let it pour!
Well, I'm just looking, the temperatures went down now. It's 78.9 here in West Palm.
Yeah, but look at Orlando. It feels like temperature is 105.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it gets so humid.
Yeah.
Even more than it does here.
Yeah.
And, a strong-arm pitcher could hit the ocean from here.
You feel like, well, that's what's good about the ocean. That's why I like the ocean.
Yeah. Well, I've always.
So, what is your current router?
It's a TP-Link.
Okay. I don't know how compatible they are with Dd-Wrt, but they make very good routers. So I would just check and see in the documentation, see if you could see bandwidth consumption. But again, remember, I've done that, and Comcast will say, no, you went over 2 terabytes. And what are you going to do? Say, well, no, I have my records right here. There's nothing you can do. So ask the ISP. Time for Chris Marquardt. He's our photo guy. Joins us every week to talk about photography, getting better pictures with digital and all of that at discoverthetopfloor.com. That's where his workshops are and his photos. And hello, Chris. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
What is up in the world of digital photography?
Nothing new.
Nothing new. Okay, thanks very much. See you later.
Sure, nice to see you. No, instead of something very practical, I thought that I talk about something that you can use at a cocktail party, that you can use to impress a few friends, and it's about a color that's not there.
What?
And yeah, this is mind blowing. How do I start this? Let's take a camera apart, right? You take a microscope, you look at the sensor in your camera, and what do you find? You find individual pixels, and some of them see red, some of them see green, and some of them see blue. So RGB, we all know that. And then when you look at your screen, the screen of your smartphone, take a magnifying glass and look at that, you also see red, green, and blue pixels. And the reason for that is that this is pretty much how our eyes work. When you look inside a human eye, we have these light-sensitive cones, and some see red, and some see green, and some see blue, which, well, is only the right thing to make a camera work similar to that. But here's where it gets interesting. If you look at a rainbow, it shows us the visible color spectrum, right? Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. They're leaving out a couple in between because it doesn't really fit into the word or into the acronym. But we see all those colors with our eyes, right? We see not just red, green, and blue. We see stuff in between, but we do not have the cones for it. Our eyes, again, they can only see red, green, and blue.
I did not know that. I thought that was because sometimes computer stuff is a simulation of humans. Sometimes it's just a vague approximation. So it's working the same way our eyes do. That's interesting.
We mix colors, and the mixing happens here inside our brain box. Again, smartphone screen, red, green, and blue, but then just imagine you turn only the red and the green pixels on. What do your eyes see? They see yellow. They mix red and green. On the rainbow, on the color spectrum, that's in between red and green. There's yellow. Now, if you turn only the green and the blue pixels on your smartphone screen, then you get a color that's called cyan, which is this greenish blue. Again, it's in between. We do not see cyan. We mix it in our brain,
I think only women see cyan. I think guys see that's blue. Or that's blue-green. It's
You do also know that about 10% of us guys are colorblind in some way or another.
It's red.
So
what do you want?
Yeah.
It's blue. What do you want?
We are just not as good with colors.
Mauve. What are you talking about?
Well, and the cyan doesn't go in Roy G. Biv, but it should be between green and blue, right?
It's a blue-green. Yeah,
it's a blue-green.
Actually, that's an important color because in photo reproduction, they do CYMK, right? Cyan, yellow, magenta, and black. Those are the four colors.
Right.
So a screen does red, green, and blue, but if you're printing a photo, it would be cyan. In fact, even in your inkjet cartridges, you'll get cyan.
Cyan, magenta,
yellow.
And K, which is the contrast, which is black.
Right.
So
K is for contrast.
Stands for black there.
Oh, interesting.
Now, you can mix these colors. You can do an experiment. If you have a red and a green flashlight and you point them at the same spot on the wall, it turns yellow. The green and the blue make cyan.
See, that's important because when I was in school, I was taught blue and yellow made green.
Not really.
But when you're doing it with crayons, it does.
That's a different kind of mixing. The one is additive, the other is subtractive light mixing. Let's stick with
confused.
The light, okay?
Okay, light. Emissive light, not
And if you
coloring.
Exactly, and if you mix all the three colors, red, green, and blue, that makes white light.
Right.
So each color that we have talked about so far has a wavelength on that visible spectrum, and each one but one, and that's the missing color, and that's what I find so mind blowing because the one that we didn't really talk about a lot is not on the rainbow. If you look at the rainbow, you won't find this color. It's not in the visible spectrum. It doesn't have a wavelength, and that is called magenta.
But wait a minute. It's in CMYK. It's magenta. I get a magenta ink cartridge. How can you say it doesn't exist?
Well, you only mix it in your mind, and it doesn't even have its own wavelength. So what? Yeah, it doesn't exist pretty much, at least not in physics. But of course, it does exist for you because you mix those colors in your mind. You see it, no problem.
Okay.
You see it when you mix blue and red. Now,
so when my wife says we want to get magenta curtains in the bedroom, I can tell her it doesn't exist.
Yeah, but you also can't talk your way out of that. No.
Okay, good. That's true.
It's just go with it. Just go with it. But isn't that amazing that in nature, in the rainbow, which you'd think is complete, right? It goes from it's all the visible, all the colors that we can see with our eyes are in the rainbow.
Except
that is not true.
Magenta.
Magenta isn't there. Now, again, red and blue. If you mix two flashlights, red and blue on a wall, you point them at the same spot,
you'll get magenta.
Magenta comes out. Yeah, you get magenta.
But it doesn't exist.
And if you stare long enough at a magenta, Google magenta, you will find an image on Google and look at that for 20 seconds and then look at a white surface. Guess what color you'll see?
Magenta.
The opposite color of magenta.
Which is?
And that is green.
I'm so confused. I am so here's an interesting thing, because there is a phone company in the United States. You probably know it. You're in Germany. It's owned by Deutsche Telekom. It's called T-Mobile. And their color is magenta.
Yes.
A non-existent color.
Yeah, but they do exist, I think.
They exist. Well, you know what? Maybe it's intentional. Maybe John Ledger, the CEO, said, well, because self signals are invisible, maybe we should just be magenta.
Well, they brought that branding from Germany, and I have no idea what the Germans, how they came up with that.
That's interesting, huh? So, is it the only color that doesn't exist, or should I worry about others?
No, it's pretty much the only one that we use every day, and it makes sense when you mix colors. A color wheel, if you look at a color wheel, it's in between red and blue. It's there, but it's not really there if you look at a rainbow.
It's a tertiary color, midway between
it's an
red and blue.
extra spectral color.
Purplish red, reddish purple, or mauvish crimson.
Purple or pink, I think that kind of covers it.
So I'm looking on, there's a whole article on it on Wikipedia, of course. It took its name from a dye patented in 1859 by a French chemist. Originally it was fuchsine, renamed to celebrate the Italian-French victory at the Battle of Magenta, but fought between the French and Austrians in June 1859 near the Italian town of Magenta in Lombardy.
There you go.
So
I learned something now.
It doesn't exist as a color, but it is named after a town and
now
a
off
famous
to the
victory.
Next cocktail party.
Yeah, this was good cocktail party trivia. That's Chris Marquardt. He's our photo guy. Our assignment this week: take a picture of a door, right? A door. And upload it to our Flickr group, the Tech Guy group on Flickr. And in a couple of weeks, Chris will be reviewing and picking a couple to talk about on the radio show. You'll find Chris's work at discoverthetopfloor.com. Also, his wonderful workshops. When's your next workshop? Soon?
Romania in fall.
Man, you have so much fun. I'm so jealous. Thanks, Chris. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy, car guy, Sam Abuelsamid, coming up in about 45 minutes. The Battle of Magenta. I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
The Battle of Magenta. That would be a good title for a show.
The Battle of Magenta.
So I am 1 month from my Sony A7R4.
How good is Sony in keeping their promises, the delivery times?
I don't know. I mean, they set a specific date, which seems
I think
odd.
they're okay.
So I think they'll be all right. They're better than Leica. That Q2. I don't know where that is, but I canceled it, so it's okay. I had a good excuse. I waited a couple of months. Our show today brought to you by Capterra. You see, like this guy that we were just talking to is running an XP because the software, the hardware, everything he uses works with XP. But you shouldn't really be running XP with a machine connected to the internet. It's not safe. But there's still software out there that requires IE8 or Active Desktop or one of these weird technologies long ago discontinued by Microsoft. That's because especially line of business software tends not to be updated. Maybe the boss's nephew wrote it when he was home on vacation from high school. And he's long gone. He's not updating it. It still works. Your business runs on it. But really, is that the best way? What if you went to capterra.com/techguy? Capterra is the leading free online resource that will help you find the best modern software for your business. It is so awesome. You go to capterra.com/techguy. You enter in the category. There's 700 categories. Big name, stuff like project management, CRM, email marketing, e-commerce, all of that stuff. But even like specific line of business software, real estate, mortuary, yes, yoga studio, dog groomer, all of that. Any business, thousands of programs. In fact, you'll be surprised. If you look for yoga studio management, there's like 10 programs. Then you say, well, which was the best? Well, this makes it easy. You can check some boxes, narrow it down by number of stars, by how it's, is it on premises? Is it in the cloud? How many users it supports? Whether you can, whatever features you're looking for. You could set up a table to compare up to 4 programs at the same time. And then the best part kicks in, because Capterra's really magic feature is reviews. Nearly 1 million reviews from actual users, vetted users of that software. So you will not be guessing whether that software is good or not. It'll tell you. No matter what kind of software your business needs, Capterra makes it easy to discover the perfect one for you, fast and with some confidence. And did I mention it's free? Free. They don't upsell you. There's no charge. You couldn't pay them if you tried. Capterra.com/techguy. Capterra believes software is making the world a better place because software can help every organization become a more efficient, effective version of it yourself. And now you can use it for free at Capterra, Capterra, Capterra.com/techguy. Find the tools to make an informed decision for your business and stop using the Windows XP stuff. Capterra.com/techguy. Capterra is software selection simplified. Thank you, Capterra, for supporting the Tech Guy podcast. And thank you, Tech Guy podcast listener, you know who you are, for using that special URL so they know you saw it here. Capterra.com/techguy. Leo Laporte, it feels good. The Tech Guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Hope you're feeling good on this Sunday afternoon. Let's go to line 1. Timmy, Oak Hills, California. Hey, Timmy.
Hey, Leo. How you doing, man?
I'm great. How are you?
Hey, couldn't be better. Living that life in the high desert here. Good to hear you. And thanks for always taking our calls.
Nice. Always my pleasure. Thank you for calling.
Hey, here's where I'm at. I'll be brief. I got so much stuff, but I'll get to my question. I have a recording studio. I've been doing this for 35 years. And before we moved up here, I had a tower that I built and recorded multi-tracks, so a 16-put input, good old Windows XP.
Nice.
Yeah, moved up here and switched from a tower to a laptop, and I heard you, this was kind of prompted my call, I heard you either a week or two ago saying that you're giving like HP another look, maybe they're not so bad on the laptop end. But I have a 16-input phonic mixer that goes Firewire.
Boy.
It doesn't work into my Windows 7 laptop, but it does work into my trustworthy, brought up here compact Windows XP laptop.
Compact, wow.
Yeah, so I can record the 16 of the original tracks if I want, drums, guitar, bass, etc. But then I have to move them via USB thumb drive or something over to my Windows 7 thing, to my other HP Pavilion, which I love because it's got the dual hard drives, which is really cool for backing up. I can just do a clone from the main hard drive to the backup hard drive. But it also has 4 USB imports or inputs that I like. And knowing that I have to move to Windows 10, I was wondering if you had a recommendation about what kind of laptop would be still has like 4 USB imports anymore or inputs.
Well, what you really want is not USB, although everything will have USB, but Thunderbolt is something you should look for because Thunderbolt is basically the modern equivalent of Firewire.
Okay.
So you can get Firewire to Thunderbolt cables for like $30 or $40. Apple sells one for $29.
So I could use my Firewire mixer, which has the 16 outputs, 16 inputs, for the recording.
Yes.
But it has a Firewire output.
Yes.
That would convert to Thunderbolt on a new computer.
Yep. And so you want to absolutely. Now, Apple sells it for the Mac. I presume if the Mac does it, that you can do it on a PC. But remember, Apple was kind of. It's funny because Thunderbolt and Firewire both are Intel technologies.
Uh-huh.
but Apple really seems to be the early adopter. So
the other thing with the USB thing is my good old DV9000 series Pavilion, which I've put a few of them together and repaired for people. It's been a trusty workhorse. I know it's kind of a cheap computer, but it has 4 USB outputs, and I use those for extra monitors.
Yeah, and again, Thunderbolt, a better choice. Thunderbolt is a higher speed connection. And
there will be multiple outputs, so I can use maybe 3 or 4 monitors.
You can daisy chain it. You can daisy chain it. And USB for monitors is okay, but it's a little slow. Thunderbolt is plenty fast and supports DisplayPort technology over Thunderbolt. So Thunderbolt is really the future.
Perfect.
And I would say any PC you buy today should have at least one Thunderbolt port on it. I mean, I can
daisy change a few monitors where they're not all the same monitor, but I can scroll. Each one can be individual.
As long as the monitors support Thunderbolt out as well as in, right? Because you want to pass through.
Okay, I'd have to get new monitors.
You'd have to get Thunderbolt monitors.
Gotcha.
But I think this is a great solution, and ultimately Thunderbolt's going to replace a whole variety of connectors. USB 3.1 over Thunderbolt, yep, because it's a Type-C connector. Thunderbolt, which is a high-speed 40 gigabyte per second data bus, really great, and it's a DMA data bus, as FireWire was, which means you could direct memory access, so it's very fast. It also supports video. It even supports charging. So this is what's confusing about it, because it all looks like a Type-C connector, and it's not always clear when you see a Type-C connector on a computer. Is that USB 3.1, or is it full Thunderbolt 3? Is it do display? Does it do charging? And then there's no requirement that says that has to do all of them. It often selection. So read up on the specs before you buy it. Ideally, you'd get a machine with at least one Thunderbolt 3 port that does data, video, and charging.
Because right now that the mixer that I'm using, and I'll try to be concise. I appreciate all your help.
Sure.
Is the 16 mixer works with the XP, but the driver doesn't work with my Windows 7.
Well, and that's another problem. Is Thunderbolt has to have a Windows 10 machine. It's not supported on XP.
Okay, so my phonic mixer that works, it works with the XP computer. I'll be able to convert that theoretically that FireWire output to a Thunderbolt with a Windows 10 machine. So
That's right.
I'm almost jumping from XP over.
You're entering the 21st century, my friend.
I'm literally making a front jump over from XP to Windows 10.
Yeah.
Okay, so
you're going to want to do that anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the important thing about at least Apple's Thunderbolt connector, it's not bidirectional. It's basically a converter that takes outbound FireWire, you plug it in. It's the FireWire 400 port. You plug it in, and that goes into the computer and turns it into Thunderbolt. So it's a one-way port, but I think that's probably how your machine expects it.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want to get the tracks onto onto a Windows 10 machine eventually.
Yeah.
And then do all my work within the DAW, and whether I have 32, 42, or just 10 tracks.
Right.
And then finally do my mixing. But I like the FireWire mixer because of the 16 inputs.
Absolutely. I have a FireWire mixer myself. They were very common.
Right.
Motu made them. A bunch of companies made them because it was a big, fat pipe. Yeah. And it was fast enough, and it was in sync, so you could use it for making music.
Yeah, and as opposed to USB, where you could only do 2 tracks.
That's right. Thunderbolt is really the future, I think. And it's taken a while. But we're now seeing it on almost all new machines.
Okay, so long story short, my old 16-track FireWire mixer is going to still be good when I get the Thunderbolt link to a Windows 10 computer.
Well, it should be. You can at least get the hardware working. I don't know if it requires an ASIO driver on the PC. I bet it does.
Might be findable, huh?
I think you can. Yeah, I don't think that's a problem. I mean, this was going to require some research before you spend some money, I guess.
Sure. I knew you'd understand what I'm talking about as far as the disconnect between, because FireWire was supposed to be the future for multi-track.
I know.
And then kaboom.
You understand, I say with some hesitance, the future is Thunderbolt 3 because we've gone through this again and again and again. But I honestly do think now adoption for Thunderbolt 3, the variety of devices for Thunderbolt 3, and mostly in my mind the capability of Thunderbolt 3 means it is a port that will have a future. I really believe it. It's really a nice port. In fact,
and thanks again for your time. So you were talking about that HP is maybe not so bad. Is there an HP computer that might be?
They're fine now, especially the laptops, and the reason being that you remember they split off the enterprise HPE, which was all the business stuff, split off from the PC division. And I think the PC division took that as an opportunity to say, we've kind of earned not such a great reputation.
Julio.
They are the number one. They literally are the number one manufacturer of PCs, but they were making a lot of inexpensive
they're better than my HP 3000 from 1972.
They should be all. Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. That's a pretty good HP. That's a classic. No, I think that the current HP, especially laptops, are very, very good. They're excellent. But don't ignore Dell, Lenovo. I just bought a Lenovo all-in-one the Yoga A940. That's very nice, very impressive, fairly inexpensive. Cool. So there are a lot of good choices out there, and I'm surprised you don't use Apple though. Almost all the music makers I know are Apple people. You feel left out?
I'm an Android guy. I have my own personal reasons for not being an Apple guy.
Yeah, it's completely legitimate.
Probably because I started out on a Tascam Porta Studio, and then my first computer that I built myself was a tower. It was Windows.
Nothing wrong with it. I'm not ragging on you, but it is true that in the music industry, especially DJs and recording, Apple is paramount. Hey, our show. Thank you for the call. Appreciate it. It's fun to talk connections. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smart watches, and yes, cars. Our automotive expert from Navigant Research, Sam Abuelsamid, will be joining me about half an hour. He's going to be in studio today. Just drove down the coast to join us. 8888 Ask Leo, the number if you want to talk high tech. I'd love to talk to you. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, well, you could still reach us. Just, use Skype out, something like that. Line 2, Jeff, Rockland, New York. Hello, Jeff. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi. Good afternoon, Leo. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. I did just drop my phone and crack it, but besides that...
Oh, man, isn't that the worst feeling? You just hit that.
It is.
Yeah. Was it new?
It's a 10R.
Oh, man, it is new. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's all right.
Oh, well.
It works with things in life. But that's why I'm calling, too. I wanted to know if you heard anything. I had a DJI drone.
Yep.
Well, I had it. It's in the repair right now. It literally just dropped out of the sky for no reason.
What?
And I was wondering if you heard anything like that. It's a Phantom model.
No, and that's the top of the line. Of course, the DJIs are the best. They're, I would say, the best drone maker out there, and their Phantom is their high-end drone. I had a Mavic Pro. Really liked it. It also dropped into the Caribbean. I never did get it back, but that was operator error. It dropped out of the sky because the battery died, the juice died, or something went wrong with it, or...
No, I was getting full juice, and I know that it has, and we were just hovering. It wasn't even that high up, and all of a sudden, it hit the ground on the grass, and the camera broke off.
Oh, how frustrating. Man, I'd be mad, because that's an expensive drone. Do you use it? Are you a realtor? Do you use it? What do you use it for?
Just entertainment. Sometimes we film the kids Little League.
I love it. I mean, it's the coolest. Drone shots are the best ever. I'm just a real fan. No, I haven't heard of any particular problem with the DJIs, but they're, if you think about it, fairly complicated beasts. And especially nowadays, they have geofencing built in, all sorts of protections because, people are worried, the FAA is worried that people are going to fly them in the airport areas, and we've heard stories of that happening. And so there's a lot of concern about these drones, and so they've built in more and more software switches to prevent you from misusing them. And I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, it's basically it's running on software. A glitch. You've heard of crashes. Your drone maybe had a blue screen of death. A lot of software running, and things can go wrong. Could also be a physical error. And is DJI going to stand behind it, or are they going to charge you for that repair?
Well, there's a DJI store in New Jersey here, actually in the mall. I haven't heard anything yet. It's been about a week, and I've been kind of being patient, but they said that since it's out of warranty, chances are they're going to charge me.
Yeah, I paid for the refresh plan, which kind of was an extended warranty, even against dunking it, which is what I ended up doing. But I dunked it in the sea, and I wasn't about to dive 20 feet down to try to find it, so I left it behind. If it's their fault, they should fix it for free, even if you're out of warranty. So that's what you want to know is what happened. And I don't know. I haven't heard it. And if somebody's listening and knows more, and if this has happened to somebody, let us know. Like, we can maybe help Jeff out a little bit. But these are good. They're good quality products. This is kind of one of the best known names in drones, and they make some of the most widely used drones. So, but again, software is software. Computers fail, and that's kind of a computer with 4 propellers. Is what it really is. Sorry, I can't be more help, Jeff. I don't know, but keep listening. Maybe somebody will. Chris, Studio City, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Leo. It's good to talk with you.
Nice to talk to you.
I have an unusual question, I think. I work for the smallest bank. It's got 25 ATMs.
Yeah.
And it's got Windows 7 in them, and that's supposed to be discontinued in January. And I think that the ATM people said, well, you can upgrade your Windows 10 at $10,000 each.
Oy.
And I don't know why that would be so expensive. And then I learned later that you can get, they're allowing extended service security upgrades.
Yeah, it depends on your license. So a lot of times in fact, there's still Windows XP. A lot of ATMs running Windows XP and getting updates because it's Windows embedded. So I don't know what your license is. Did you set these up?
No, I don't. I don't do anything with the computers. I don't know exactly if they can get this extended update or why.
They can. Yeah, well, that's the question. I mean, so that's a question for the technicians who set it up and what license they bought, what Windows license they bought. You typically on an ATM don't put the same Windows that you'd put on a desktop. It's a version of Windows for embedded systems. And if that's the case, it may very well be, even without an additional fee, you'll be getting updates for some time. That happened with Windows Embedded. And yes, if you have an enterprise license of some kinds, you can also pay for updates, and that's the $10,000 per machine.
I know that they said professional. There's a professional, a pro, and the enterprise. There's different prices for those.
Yeah, and again, you need to check on the license that you got for those ATMs because that's really going to be the deciding factor. And you will probably have a representative who supplied you with them at Microsoft, and so, or maybe a managed service provider who arranged for it. So that's the person to talk to, and they'll be able to tell you what your license options are. But it is the case. It's very often the case that stuff like ATM machines are still running on very old versions of Windows. Windows 7 is not that old. Windows XP is very common on ATMs, and they keep those up to date because there's no easy way to update them, or it's expensive to update them. So it really is going to come down to what deal you have.
What kind of licenses they have on those?
Yes, exactly. So whoever set that machine up, did you go through a third party?
I don't handle any of that.
Oh, okay.
I clean them. But they tell me this, and I told them about the extended services, and they said, really? We didn't know anything.
They didn't know? Well, whoever set them up should know, and they will also have your license. And almost certainly somebody from Microsoft has called them. Microsoft does not want ATM machines running Windows to become the subject of a headline story about how a hacker was able to enter a few keystrokes and get into them. That's not good for anybody. So almost certainly somebody from Microsoft will be in touch with the company that set those up. If you're a really small bank, my guess is you outsourced it to a third party that does this for other banks. But whoever it is that did that, they should be in touch with you. And, we got a few months. It's August. It's not till January something that Windows 7 goes out of support. Generally, when that happens, the bulletin is going out to you and me, to end users, people who have we bought a PC with Windows 7 on it, and it's telling them, we're not going to update this, so get a new computer. It's a very different matter for enterprise users, for business users, especially for ATMs and things like that. It's a very different matter. So whoever's in charge of those licenses, and it may not be a bank officer or somebody that you talk to because they probably don't know any more than you do. It's probably, there's somebody, I would hope, your customers are hoping, there's somebody paying attention to this somewhere. I'm laughing. I shouldn't be because it's serious. In fact, the fact of the matter is just as likely nobody's paying attention to it. a guy named Simpson Garfinkel, very famous MIT engineer, when he was a graduate student some years ago, bought a bunch of hard drives from eBay, just used hard drives, cheap. And most of them still had data on them. Many of them were from ATM machines. And every transaction, bank account numbers, all kinds of passwords, pins, all kinds of information was on these hard drives. So whoever decommissioned the old ATM machines just took the hard drives out, sold them on eBay, and left it at that. Okay, I think we've come a long way from those days, but the whole point of Simpson's research was to demonstrate that people don't do a good job sanitizing their disks before they let them go out in the world. That's why, by the way, I really like the idea, and I encourage you all to do it, of encrypting your disk the minute you get a new computer. Just turn on File Vault. I was really pleased. I bought a new Lenovo desktop, an all-in-one, and it didn't come with Windows Pro, which you normally need for Windows BitLocker. That's their hard drive encryption. It came with Windows Home, but it came from the factory with BitLocker turned on. I didn't have to do anything. It was just part of the deal. And I was really pleased to see that. And I would hope that more and more computers purchased by, people at home, people who aren't IT departments, would come pre-encrypted. Your phone does. Your phone does. That's how it should be. When you sell your phone, you don't have to wipe the drive. You just have to remove the account because nobody can read what's on it without those crypto keys. It's much easier than disk scrubbing software and all of that. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number, website. Remember, we put everything on the website, techguylabs.com. In fact, I'll put Simpson's famous study, put a link up to that right now. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Line 2, David in Los Angeles. Hello, David.
Hi, Leo. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks for calling. What can I do for you?
So currently I live in an apartment. I got a ASUS AC68P,
nice.
And now I'm going to be moving to a 3-story house.
You're anticipating Wi-Fi trauma.
Absolutely, sir. So I've been looking at. I love ASUS. I think they're top of the line.
I agree.
I've never had a problem.
Yep.
So I've been looking at the mesh, at the pucks that they have. There's not a lot of reviews out there, so I was wondering if you could give any feedback.
I've used most of the Wi-Fi mesh systems out there. I've tried a lot of them. I agree with you on ASUS's standalone Wi-Fi access points. There's none better. They're very good. But I've never tried their AI mesh, which is their new thing. They've had mesh even in the standalone routers for some time. This kind of idea has been around for a while. They also have these Lyras, which are wild looking, and I've heard people talking about them, but I've never used them either. So I can't give you a straight answer on this. There's a couple of things to look for with mesh. You're right. As you go to a 3-story house, not only add square footage, but add kind of, more walls between you and your Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi can get very troubling. Furthermore, when people move into houses, they tend to get more IoT devices. So you start adding Amazon Echoes and speakers and doorbells and refrigerators and I have 60 or 70 devices on my Wi-Fi network, and that's another thing that kills Wi-Fi. It's not merely a distance or bandwidth issue, it's a complexity issue. And all of these new mesh routers do a couple of things. They solve the distance and wall problem by having multiple subunits. So you have a main station, and this is different than Wi-Fi extenders. A lot of people are familiar with the idea of you got a main unit and then you put an extender. The problem with extenders, as they used to be, is that they would cut the bandwidth in half because they'd spend half the time talking to your computer and half the time talking back to the base station. And so your bandwidth would go way down with an extender, and not just on that one computer, but on everything. That's not good. Mesh solved that by having a separate back channel so they can talk back to the base station without slowing down. And so mesh routers give you better bandwidth, better throughput. And of course, because you're spreading the Wi-Fi access points around through the house, they're less prone to problems caused by walls and distance. So That's one thing Mesh does. But there's another thing entirely, and I think this is one that reviewers have a hard time gauging, and that's the software the Mesh router is running. One of the first of these, Eero, said very early on, and what we do is we watch how you use your Wi-Fi and we prioritize. To put it in more technical terms, they have automated quality of service engine that will say, well, you know, the kid's in his bedroom watching YouTube and mom and dad are watching Netflix in the living room, and then Aunt Sally is getting email. We can spend more bandwidth to Netflix and YouTube and less to Aunt Sally because she doesn't need consistent packet-by-packet throughput because she's not watching video. They could do things like that. This printer doesn't need full-time access. The Echo doesn't need full-time. So they can get smarter. And as they claim, as time goes by, your network doesn't get faster. This is important. It doesn't get faster. It gets more reliable. So sometimes you don't want every point in the network to have maximum speed. Sometimes you want some points to have better speed, better packet reliability, lower latency. So overall speed isn't always the measure. Reliability and suitability to the purpose is the measure. The other things you're looking for, all of these now offer additional subscription services that include things like blocking malware, blocking ads, controlling various units. On my Orbi router, I can say, oh, that iPad, that computer, that phone, that's our 16-year-olds. That's Michael's. And then I can say to the Amazon Echo, pause Michael's internet. Or better yet, on a schedule, on a school night at 10 p.m., his internet is off because he's got to go to bed. Those kinds of features are also really great. So you're looking, when you're looking at a mesh system, you're really looking at a very broad spectrum of capabilities. I've used, I really, for raw speed, I think Netgear's Orbi is excellent. For overall software and power, I think the Eero is my favorite. And I should mention Eero is a sponsor of some of our shows. So, in fact, that's first how I became aware of Eero. Was when they started sponsoring us. I wanted to try them out. I've read a lot of reviews. The Lyra the Lyra mesh that is being offered by ASUS looks really cool. Their AI mesh is kind of built into their regular routers. So you may, if you just get, which one did you say you had?
I've got the 68P. It has the software built in, but
yeah.
I plan on. I don't know. I don't plan on probably using it anymore. Maybe as a switch, but that's about it. I'm a big fan of either Orbi or Eero. And there's some that I don't recommend. I don't think Google's is all that good. Oddly enough, because Ubiquiti created this in the enterprise, but the Amplify that Ubiquiti sells for home use is not very good. I used the Plume for a while. I like the concept behind the Plume, but now they require a subscription. So that's a non-starter for a lot of people. And I've also found that I can really kill the Plume by having too much traffic. I would say look at the Eero or the Orbi. From Eero is its own company, Orbi's by Netgear. Those would be my top two choices after trying, half dozen or so of these systems. And look at the features, see which ones you need. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, I have to try these Lyras. They really look cool. And ASUS is a good company. So I think it's interesting that ASUS decided to add software to their regular routers to make them mesh capable. And these LYRAs. They have a tri-band that's round. And then they have a kind of pyramid one that's only dual band. Tri-band is something I would absolutely look for. I don't know. Anybody in the chat room try these other ones? My experience with Google's Mesh was it was not as good, although they may have gotten better. I gave it to my daughter because she didn't have such a large space. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, and that music means it's time for Sam Abuelsamid. He is a principal researcher at Navigant Research, and does a great car podcast at wheelbearings.media, and he's in studio with me today. You couldn't take the summer in Detroit.
It was just too nice there, so I had to come out here where it's really hot and dry.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
Actually, a little vacation time. You're going to drive the
Lincoln, a little time off.
Lincoln Aviator.
That's Lincoln's new 3-row crossover, nice. And they've got a really what should be a really interesting plug-in hybrid version of it that goes 30 miles on a charge and is the most powerful production Lincoln ever built. 450 horsepower, and 600 foot-pounds of torque.
Those hybrids and even the plug-in hybrids, they have kind of a dinky motor, right?
No, not necessarily. I'm not sure exactly we haven't been told yet what size the motor is on the Lincoln, but it can drive around. You can do most of your driving, about 30 miles of driving.
And you don't feel like it's sluggish if you're driving with the gas?
No, generally not. Not with most of not with the plug-in hybrids. Some of the regular hybrids, that is often the case, but with the plug-in hybrids, they usually have enough motor power that you can actually drive around. You're not going to get full performance out of it,
right?
But you can drive around. But we can talk about that one next week after I've actually had a chance to.
Yeah, I would love to. This week we want to talk about motorcycles.
Yeah, we talked about motorcycles last week with the Harley-Davidson Livewire, and as my wife and I were driving in from the coast this morning, just before coming in here, we encountered a situation. It was a crash. A rider went down, and fortunately, it didn't look to be too severely injured. He was up walking around, but. I just wanted to remind people, especially right now, because there are a number of states that had previously had mandatory helmet laws and have, like Michigan, for example, that have since in the last few years rescinded those laws, making it optional, which I think is really stupid and ridiculous. And when you look at the statistics, the two areas, in traffic fatalities where we've actually had a significant increase in fatalities over the last several years, most of the increase in traffic fatalities that's occurred over the last 3 or 4 years, it's been in two segments: pedestrians and motorcyclists. And I think at least part of that is attributable to a lot of people who previously were required to wear helmets, not wearing them. So, if you're going to ride a motorcycle, it's a very fun activity. I don't personally ride a bike, but, a lot of people do. Make sure you take that you're safe out there.
Protect yourself.
It is dangerous. There's an inherent danger to it. Wear a helmet. Wear proper gear. To protect yourself, because accidents do happen. Even this morning, it's beautiful weather out here. It's mid-80s, sunny. Perfect conditions for a ride. And we saw a lot of riders.
Oh yeah,
we
get a lot of people going out to the coast.
Yeah. Accidents can still happen, and it's. If you go down on a bike, at 40, 50, 60 miles an hour or more, if you're not wearing proper protective gear, you're going to lose some skin and potentially a lot worse.
Yeah, Lisa, my wife, we ride bikes everywhere. I ride to work. Not motorcycles, bicycles with pedal power, although they are electric. And I always wear a helmet. She says, just the other day, she said, I think I'm going to wear a helmet. Can you get me a helmet and leathers? I said, well, you'll look good in leathers, but I don't know if you need leathers. But she's reasonably worried.
At pedal power speeds, you could probably get away without the leathers.
Yeah.
But at 60, 70 miles an hour, you definitely want some protection.
Yeah. We were talking last week about roundabouts.
Yeah.
And, we have four-way stops here, which are very confusing.
You do also have some roundabouts, too, though.
We're starting to get roundabouts. I love them.
Yeah.
Where did they come from originally?
I think one of the earliest places where they had roundabouts was in England, but I'm not sure if that's actually
France for the very first time that I saw them.
Yeah,
Europe.
The first place I ever encountered them was in the UK.
It makes sense in France because as you're driving through the countryside, there's a lot of countryside, and there's going to be a town, and there's always a roundabout as you enter town or in the middle of town. Because they don't want to put a traffic light up, but they want to route traffic through it. And it just makes a lot of sense, I think.
Yeah, and when people know how to use them and use them correctly, you can really improve traffic flow.
They put them in without giving us lessons.
Yeah, well, they don't for the most part, they don't really give most American drivers lessons even in basic driving skills. But that's a whole other issue we can discuss another day. But yeah, so when you encounter a roundabout, the way you deal with it is treat it as an all-way yield. And when you encounter a yield sign, you don't have to stop if there's nobody else approaching that intersection. So you look around,
you see if there's anybody else in the roundabout. I always also look to the entrance to the roundabout to the left of me, just in case somebody's not paying attention and enters it.
Unless you're in England, you look to the right. But
Right. Or if you're in France, everywhere in France is normal, except for one of the big plazas, I think the Place de la Concorde, where it's the opposite direction. You yield to the right, not to the left, which is very, very confusing. And as a result, it doesn't look like a roundabout. It just looks like a free-for-all. Everybody drives in and tries to get out. Good luck.
But in general, whoever's in the roundabout already
owns the roundabout.
has the right of way.
Yeah.
So as you're approaching, take a look to your left. Make sure if there's nobody coming, you slow down a little bit. Slow down appropriately depending on the radius of the curve, and then just proceed through. You don't have to come to a complete stop.
If there's a lot of traffic, do roundabouts work, or they're only good where there's low traffic?
It depends. I think a lot of it depends on whether people actually understand how to use them. Like when I've been in England, when everybody there knows how to use roundabouts, even where there's heavy traffic, they work fine.
Okay.
It's not
like
so
a
much
zipper.
issue. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And people just slip right into the gaps and if you're in an unfamiliar area, one of the nice things about roundabouts is if you're not sure which exit to take from the roundabout, just go around again. Just watch the signs.
Keep going.
Just stay in there and just go around again until you get to the one you were supposed to get off at.
Yeah. Do people cities put in roundabouts because they're more efficient? They're less expensive?
Mostly more efficient, better traffic flow.
Yeah.
Especially
because you don't have to stop.
Yeah, because you don't have to come to a complete stop, and especially when there's not too much traffic, then you can just go right on through. You don't have to stop at all. But even when there is more traffic, once people figure it out, then traffic actually does flow quite smoothly through them.
I have one more question for you.
Mm-hmm.
As you know, I've given up my Tesla, watching for the new electric cars. Porsche has now announced that it's September 4th. They're going to finally put the Porsche Taycan, the first electric vehicle from Porsche, on sale in China, Canada, and Germany. Well, they'll sell it in the U.S. in September as well.
Yeah, over the next few months, it'll be coming to other markets.
30,000 reservations. They say their entire production for next year is sold out.
And they've already been saying that they plan to increase their production capacity in 2020. So there will be more available.
Yeah, and we're already seeing some test rides, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds, 0 to 124 in 12 seconds, top speed 155 miles an hour. This sounds like it's going to be a fun car to drive.
Yeah, and we talked a few weeks ago when I was in New York. I got to ride in one along with Le Mans winner Neil Yanni, and it is a wicked fast car.
Yeah, they haven't said anything about the range, but it is a 90 kilowatt hour battery.
Yeah,
so
it should be close to 300 miles is what they've been saying.
Wow. And does it feel like a Porsche? You didn't get to drive it.
It's hard to say from the passenger seat, but they have said their goal is to make it feel like a Porsche, the way you expect a Porsche to drive, and it should be pretty close to the way that a Panamera feels, which is the closest car they have to that right now.
Yes,
which everybody loves that. Yeah.
The CEO of a Porsche said that most of the reservations so far are from former Tesla owners, and that kind of makes sense. Yeah. It'll be a high price.
You're gonna get some conquests.
It's gonna be a high end vehicle.
Yeah. Well, like all Porsches, it'll start relatively low and escalate very quickly as you check off.
You
options.
want wheels? Well, that's another thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Sam Abuelsamid, principal researcher at Navigant, wheelbearings.media for the podcast. Always a pleasure. It's nice to see you in studio.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Have
Leo.
a wonderful visit to Northern California. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thank you to Big Pee Wee, our musical director. Thank you. Thank you also to Kim Schaffer, our phone angel, answering the phones today. Thanks also to you for joining me for the Tech Guy Show. We have time for some more calls, so let's get them in here. Josh, Mesa, Arizona. Hello, Josh.
Hey, Leo.
Welcome. What can I do for you?
So, I called a while back concerning my mom's laptop. I was able to save all the information.
Good.
And I got it reformatted and everything.
Good.
But in the process, my own computer went off the rails.
Oh, man.
And What I'm trying to do is trying to see what you think, or because there's data recovery,
right?
And I wanted to see which one that you use for data recovery, like what software.
I don't, because I back up, my friend. Always the
Yes,
cheapest
I do
option.
But I was learning dir commands, robocopy and copying those.
And you accidentally copied over a directory, huh?
Yes.
All right, so that's the good news. That you can recover. That's easy to recover generally. Well, I shouldn't say that. So there's two kind of major ways disks fail. There's a software way and a hardware way. The software way is what happened to you. The disk didn't have a mechanical failure. It human operator failure. Now, if you used robocopy or dir copy to overwrite data, that's a problem. If you accidentally delete a file or a directory or even the whole drive, the data is still there because the computer is not going to take the time to actually overwrite the data unless you do a secure erase. All it does is it goes to the directory and says, okay, that area is usable again. And they do a slight change to the file name. So, and by the way, Peter Norton realized this many decades ago. That was Peter Norton's first program of the Norton utilities. It was unerase. And all it did is it went through the directory and looked for file names with what looks like an upside down E. That was the operating system. It was DOS at the time. Windows still does this. Would change the first letter of the file name to an ASCII symbol that looks like an upside down E. That was a signal to the operating system. You can reuse this area. He'd look for that all, give you a list of all of them. You provide the real first letter, it would recover the data. And unless you had overwritten that data, reused that sector, you would be able to get all your files back. Now, it sounds like what you did maybe was copy data onto something.
Well, yeah. So my backup, I had my backup was on my D drive, so it's within my computer.
Right.
And so I had all my backups there. It was fine. So I was like, okay. So I did a robocopy mirror and did it. I thought if I selected the folder directly within the DOS, it would copy over. Well, it wiped everything off. So I was like, then I was like, okay, I need to find some data recovery, and I found one, but I wanted to see what yours is better.
So
because
the data recovery that is cheapest and easiest you can do yourself, but what you're talking about is different. In fact, maybe even not doable. So I've used programs. The one I recommend is called Recuva, RECUVA. It's like Norton Unerase, but it's more modern. It comes from the CCleaner folks, and it's free. But that's for taking files that have been deleted. So if those files were merely, in other words, if it was preparing to write to that disk, deleted the files, and you stopped it in time, you might be able to use Recuva to get it back. You can get a free version just to see if it'll work, just to see what you can see. But if you actually did complete the write, you've overwritten the data, I don't think you can get it back. So the companies that do this, like Drive Savers, they're mostly intended for mechanical failure. Your head got bent, or more commonly, the bearings died in your hard drive. And what they do is they go in a clean room. They have all the possible hard drives. Yeah. They take your drive apart in a clean room, replace the broken part with one from their collection, and then seal it all up again. And usually that's sufficient. But that's not your problem, nor is the simple unerase utility going to help you. If you've overwritten the data, you've destroyed it.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist anymore. And, sometimes we talk, if you're going to erase a drive, you need to use the Department of Defense overwrite strategy where they write ones and they erase them, and they write zeros and they erase them, and they do this 7 times. But, I was quoting Simpson Garfinkel the other hour. He is a well-known guy in this forensic recovery of hard drive data. He's perhaps the best known guy in this. Was at MIT and Harvard. He says you don't need to do that. If you overwrite it even once, that's sufficient. It's possible that somewhere deep in the darkest basements of the NSA, There's a tool that can somehow magically read these stray magnetic signals left over from previous data on the hard drive. But remember, those are intermingled in with the newer signals of the data you wrote on top of it. How do you extricate the two? Very difficult. It's only theoretically possible. It is not. Nobody's ever seen a way to do this. It's only, well, if you're a spy agency, maybe you should assume that the other spy agency has this. But for you, I have very bad news. Nothing can fix that.
I did find, as I talked to one of my geek friends, and he mentioned a data.
Yeah, I know them, but they're this. It's the same thing. You can call them, but say I overwrote the data with other data, and the only data at this point that they could conceivably get back is stuff that's stored in what we call slack space, file space that wasn't reused. Or stuff that's stored on, if it's an SSD on cells that didn't get reused, the wear leveling didn't reuse them. And that's going to be fragmentary. Your swap file will have some data. That's going to be fragmentary data. It's not going to get your pictures back. So
I was actually able to save quite a bit, but good. I don't know if I got all of it.
Yeah, if you stopped the copy in time, that data still be there. Yeah. And if the copy merely began by erasing the directory, the data will still be there. But if it actually started writing data, wherever it wrote data, you're gone. Nothing can get that back. Unless you might call the NSA. See what they can do for you.
Yeah, they take repaired calls. For sure.
Yeah, no, they would if they had the technology, they wouldn't admit to it, right? The British Secret Service, MI6, reputedly has a protocol when they take a hard drive out of service. They take the drive, they open it up, they take the platters, they grind them down into a fine metallic dust. Then they take that dust, they put them in a safe, and they put the safe in the basement of MI6. That's their protocol. That's a little paranoid. You can tape shredded documents together easier than you can recover data that's been overwritten. Once it's overwritten, it's gone. This, by the way, underscores an important point in backup. You had what was called online backup, which is very convenient. It's right there. It's right next to you. It's on. But online backup means you could do what you just did. It'd be easy to accidentally erase it. So that should never be your only form of backup. Online backup is also prone to ransomware, right? It's your computer can see it, it can encrypt it. So it will be encrypted if you get ransomware. Online is good for quick restores, but it should not be the only backup copy. You should always have an offline copy. The computer cannot access without you getting the drive and plugging it in. And frankly, I think you should also have an off-site backup, one that is not even in the premises. Then you're much less likely to get bit by human error, which is, I'm sorry to say, what bit you. I'm sorry. I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings, but I'd also hate for you to spend a lot of energy and maybe even money with these companies when there's really nothing they can do. Hey, I'm Leo Laporte. I'm the tech guy. I thank you so much for being here this weekend. I hope you come back next weekend. We can talk high tech, will you? All right. Have a great geek week. Bye-bye. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.